visuals clearly portraying what the emotions are, just about two bungalows away from each other, the two camps in just the opposite emotions. The Uddhav Thackeray camp, there's protests outside by the supporters. Many of them have been taken away by the cops. On the other hand, there's celebrations outside the Shinde camp. The ramifications of today's verdict is going to be huge. I'm being joined by Rohit Chandwakar, who's a senior journalist at this point. Mr. Chandwakar, if you can break these down, the visuals are so strong and they are very telling. The emotions not only running high because of what's happened to the party name, the party symbol, but also what's at stake for the coming months in Maharashtra. Can you break this down? The key challenges now before the UBT faction as well as Shinde faction. I mean, largely Shinde faction must be very euphoric.
They look euphoric, Sneha, and that they are good at that, putting up these images and, doing all the whatever optics, putting up the optics. The Shiv Sena has always been very good at all this. But I'd like to bring your viewers' attention to, the whole larger picture, which is that, there are two aspects to this. One is the constitutional part, whether 10th schedule and the provisions there were properly checked and whether the decision was given. And second is the political part of how this will play out in the coming weeks and especially 2 or 3 months ahead of the Lok Sabha polls. Now, you must be aware that...
Mr. Rohit, before you just go further, according to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, the speaker seems to have taken the position that the 10th schedule is going to give a very limited jurisdiction. And therefore, he has to go with what the EC has said. Is this the correct interpretation of what we've seen inside the assembly?
That's more or less correct. Now, the way this is going to go forward is, that's the interesting part now, is that the speaker's decision in the assembly is going to be definitely challenged by the Uddhav Thackeray group in the Supreme Court, because that's what the Supreme Court had previously said, that, they can come through the speaker after the speaker's decision. So it will be challenged. Second part is whether this decision by the speaker will be seen as Uddhav Thackeray getting cornered politically by Eknath Shinde group and BJP, and it will generate some kind of a sympathy vote for him in Maharashtra. These are the two aspects that we have to check, because it was more or less expected that because Rahul Narwekar is sitting as the speaker, he's supposed to be neutral, but obviously he comes from the BJP. He's a member of the BJP, so he's elected as a BJP member to the assembly. So he would perhaps lean in one side. That is what the interpretation is. Now he's trying to give some logic to why he is giving this decision, but it is clear that it will be challenged in Supreme Court. Now that case will go on for the next few months. In the meantime, we will have Lok Sabha polls, and the thing to watch for us, Sneha, is whether Uddhav Thackeray is able to generate another sympathy wave for him, which he was able to generate about a year ago when Eknath Shinde walked away with 40 MLAs. And how Uddhav Thackeray group, grassroots activists, karyakartas, Shiv Seniks, they react to this and whether they get galvanized, that is the political part we have to watch. So there are two parts. One is constitutional part, the thing that will go on in Supreme Court, the appeal and the discussion or the hearings that will go on. And second is the political part, which you will see on streets of Mumbai or in the campaign for the Lok Sabha and all of that. But surely this is a watershed point. Eknath Shinde would obviously feel more secure now, even though it was more or less expected that this will happen. We all knew that the CM will continue and he will not be disqualified. His MLAs will not be disqualified. It was more or less obvious. And you are right. The speaker has taken reference from Election Commission's kind of verdict on the symbol and the name. And because it's a quasi-judicial authority, he can refer to that. That part is very valid. There's no problem with that. Sneha.
Okay, Mr. Chandwakar, let me also get the BJP leader in, Mr. Asif Bhamla. Mr. Asif Bhamla, Rohit Chandwakar, senior journalist, as well as Priyanka Chaturvedi, Rajya Sabha MP, both of them raising one important issue, and that's the constitutionality of this. saying that the Uddhav Thackeray faction is most likely going to be challenging this in the court. And the argument which has been given by the speaker that he has had to go with the election commission's decision and not limit his jurisdiction with the 10th schedule. Now, would this be able to stand the test of the Indian Constitution?
Certainly, they should go to the Supreme Court. I mean, the courts are meant to go, are free and we welcome them to, in fact, go to the court, because the court in the past have also given a decision to which they did not agree. Now, the court gave a decision and authorized the speaker, the official speaker, to take a call on this. There were several meetings held, and it's not a decision that has come ad hoc or by the way. You see, it has been a long gone process, considering various pros, cons, various aspects, various areas, because the speaker is a very responsible person in the floor of the Assembly House. He's the constitutional head of the House. So now, when he has taken a decision after this, also, it was always expected that they would consider, and they would do a victim. They would play a victim card. They would try to, garner sympathy. So that's been an old tactics of the Shiv Sena. But I think the people of Maharashtra have by now understood this, that they, after being in power for 2.5 years, they were in power. Their own ministers have jumped the boat, and they have gone. So and it's not one; it's 90% of people who've left. So why doesn't the Shiv Sena realize that? Why don't they smell the coffee that it was something wrong within themselves? It was not
Mr.
that they
Asif
were out of
Bamla.
power. They were in power, and they walked. And
Mr. Asif Bamla.
Walk out of power, their own legislators, their own ministers, and that's how they have formulated this alliance. You see?
Mr. Asif Bamla, all that is very well, but what would you tell about the game of perception? Because that is also very crucial. The opposition now really raising questions, whether it be the UBT faction or even others, that just before such a crucial decision, why would the speaker go ahead and meet Chief Minister Shinde? They both have rebuffed this, saying that they met for different reasons. But politics is also a game of optics.
You see, meeting the Chief Minister is nothing wrong. He's a designated Chief Minister, more than 200
Before you are
MLAs
supposed to give a crucial decision on who the real Sena is?
No. I mean, meeting a Chief Minister...
A day before that? Not even 24 hours before that.
It's a moral duty of an MLA. See, there are two phases of a speaker. He is also an elected member of a legislative assembly. So if there are certain issues, obviously he has to meet the Chief Minister, a Chief Minister who is a fully accomplished Chief Minister. Whether the Shiv Sena, the Congress, they do not consider him the Chief Minister is not the problem. But they too do go to the Chief Minister to address all the issues. But when a BJP MLA goes, or when the other party MLAs go, today I was there at the cabinet meeting. I saw a number of MLAs of the Congress going to meet the Chief Minister. There was a cabinet meeting at the Sayadri. A number of there were MLAs from the Samajwadi Party who met the Chief Minister. So it's nothing wrong. They are after they need to seek the funds, allocations, etc. for their own constituency.
Mr. Asif Bamla, allow me to interrupt you. I don't need to play the devil's advocate here. We've got Chandra Shekhar Jha, who's a spokesperson for the Shiv Sena UBT camp. Mr. Chandra Shekhar, your first remarks to what's really happened. What's the way out now for all of you? What's the next step for all of you? It's a huge blow. You have to agree to that, despite the optimism.
See, we are fighting for last 1.5 years or 2 years in judicial forum. And if you see, the ECI is now been a puppet under the central government. Recently, the act which has been passed, or the rule which has been passed, whereby the ECI has been taken over by the Union Cabinet Ministry and the central government. you can see how the central government is keeping the biasness over all the agencies, including the investigative agencies, the ECI, and other constitutional bodies. So it is amenable now to say that the speaker who is sitting on a constitutional post is not acting neutral. And if he is not acting neutral, the biasness comes because he is from a certain party. And
What
if
are
you
your
see his
bases? What are your
biasness, that
bases of
he's
saying that he is not acting neutral? What are the bases? In this
yes,
verdict, from what he has
yes,
said, give me 3 reasons that make you think that he is not acted neutral.
yes.
3 reasons.
Now, let me tell you the first thing. The first thing is that the ECI's order is under challenge and it's a matter of sub judice. Relying on the ECI order at this venture or at this stance by the respective speaker in announcing the judgment is itself void ab initio at this stance. And reasoning about the party's faction
No, it won't
and
be
all
void
those
ab initio,
things
sir. It
that
will be
saying
void
that
ab initio only if the ECI verdict is set apart, is put apart, has been
it is
quashed.
it
It's
is it
only
is it
then
is
that it
it
would
is
be void ab initio.
interrelated.
Not
Now it is an
currently, not
interrelated.
automatically right now.
No, it is an interrelated thing.
It's
The two have
not.
to be
No,
considered
no, no,
on
no.
the
You can't say that.
different footing.
If that's
Yes.
your argument, that's falling apart. I'm sorry, sir.
Let me tell you, the first thing that I have explained, that the speaker who is announcing a judgment, relying upon the ECI's judgment, is completely void ab initio at this moment because it is under challenge. Second thing, that the disqualification has to be adjudicated. What he has done, he has also decided the faction or the parties, how the faction has been done and how the parties have been formed. That is to be the basis of a speaker. That cannot be a basis of the speaker because he was there to adjudicate the disqualification and nothing more than that. Sitting on a constitution body saying that the real Shiv Sena is with the Eknath Shinde faction and Mr. Uddhav Sahib Thackeray does not have the majority to prove, that he is not within the scope of the speaker. And in his opinion, such a comment made by him is completely void ab initio at this stage because he is not a decision maker of a party. And already the ECI, which has decided, it is sub judice, and all these factors and all these circumstances, if you see visiting Mr. Eknath Shinde at his house and doing all these things, completely show that he was biased, he was one-sided, and the judgment is also
All right.
one-sided.
Mr. Chandrasekhar,
Nothing has
has the
been.
UBT faction failed to provide evidence before the speaker in comparison to what the Shinde faction has been able to say in terms of the crucial meeting that really was to happen? Shinde camp has said that has never happened. Have you failed in providing evidence according to what the speaker has claimed?
See, it's a matter of evidence. The matter of evidence has to be considered on the weightage, how much weightage has been given to that evidence. If the speaker has not followed the procedure of taking the evidence and the weightage has not been given, that fact and circumstances has to be amenable to judicial review. And that judicial review would automatically come down to a certain aspect of a judgment, that such kind of aspersion made by the speaker on this judgment or on the comment has to be set aside.
Okay, my last question to Rohit Chandavarkar. Sir, now, of course, the emotive challenge to this whole issue is going to be very big. Most likely, this is also going to run into a legal battle again. However, with the elections just coming very close by, does this give another challenge to the Uddhav Thackeray faction to have a concrete, tangible, strong say or stand within the India bloc, while the Shinde camp may really be able to get its position together with the BJP? Is it again the larger picture coming against the UBT factor?
I
I
had put
think
it
you
on
have
mute.
muted
Sorry.
yourself.
So I think Sneha, the Uddhav Thackeray camp had very well expected this kind of a decision, because let me draw your attention to what the Supreme Court said last time when they gave a sort of a verdict on this. and they handed over the thing to the Speaker of the Assembly. They said that this, they observed that the delay in this is not really appreciated, and they put some pressure on the Maharashtra Assembly Speaker twice, indicating that the matter was
Right.
getting too delayed. That was Supreme Court's impression. And the Uddhav Thackeray faction, as well as the Pawar
Right.
camp, they went to Supreme Court and repeatedly they said that this is getting delayed or whatever. So it is perhaps
Right.
not correct for us to pass a judgment on whether the speaker was biased or not. That is a matter of interpretation. But the observation that Supreme Court has put, that we can refer. That is very valid for us to do. And that was that there is a delay. Now, on the basis of
Right.
this delay, the Uddhav Thackeray camp has been constantly saying that since there is a delay, we suspect that the speaker is deliberately, buying time or delaying this or whatever. And they got indications that maybe the things,
Right.
in this case were not going in their favor. So politically speaking, I think they were very much aware and they were kind of preparing for this kind of a decision. Now, coming to your question,
Rahul.
it is now crucial whether they are able to convert this into
1
another
minute, sir.
sympathy wave similar to what they created about a year and a half ago. Because you remember there was a by-election in Andheri in
Right.
Mumbai, Andheri East Assembly election, in which the BJP, kind of sensed that there is a, pro-Uddhav Thackeray sympathy wave, and they decided to not contest that election. They gave some reason based on,
Right.
they gave some reason based on emotions. They said that, the candidate there, the Shiv Sena
All right.
candidate there has passed away, and they didn't want
That's
to
30 seconds,
contest
sir. We're running out
against
of
his
time.
wife. Yeah. So again, this time, last sentence, it is crucial, last point that I want to make, it is crucial politically speaking whether Uddhav Thackeray is able to use this, telling his Shiv Senics and the voters that look how he is being cornered, and convert this into a sympathy wave. Whether he is
Right.
able to do this or not is the crucial question. Sneha.
All right. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining us. It's going to be an upward task, really, for the Uddhav Thackeray camp. Celebrations right now, at least within the Shinde camp. A huge judgment in the assembly, which will have political ramifications in the upcoming elections as well. Thank you very much for joining us.